Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show. It's game day. Well, it's game day, but let me also preface with spooky season. Oh, no! This is... Oh, goodness. Our pets' heads are falling off. No, I don't think so. Okay, give me a minute here. This is... I was told this worked.
I am being censored by the man. This is, I'm telling you, this is offensive to me. I am being blacklisted. I am being censored. They're afraid of what I have to say. They know I'm speaking the truth. They don't want me to say anything. I think that microphone's on. I think people have been able to hear me kind of broadly. I will not be censored. I will not be censored. No. Welcome into the pre-show before the free show. I'm Greg. That's Ashley. Ashley changed the microphones around. This is WTF's fault. Per usual.
Yeah.
Per usual. This is WTF's fault. I won't be censored, Mallory. They're trying to silence me. They're trying to silence me. No, it's not good. Welcome into the pre-show for the free show. I'm Greg. That's Ashley. Ugh.
You're the worst.
How am I? Oh, I'm the worst. Because I'm speaking truth to power. I refuse to be silenced. My voice will be heard. Hello. Welcome into the pre-show for the
He
free
sheepishly says.
Hello.
Oh, hi. Didn't see you there.
A couple of things. One, it is spooky season. So that's cool. I think I want to mark the time.
You know what this says? You know what this is a synonym for?
Illini?
No.
It's very Illinois.
Spooky is a synonym for Arlington Bowie.
You're the worst.
Many people are saying the best.
So, the other thing, I want to mark the time here. It's Thursday, October 10th, 2024, 11:58 a.m. I'm done with hot weather for this year. I'm done. I'm sorry. It was like in the 90s yesterday here. And it's gonna be, it's gonna be like 99 on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Saturday or Sunday, one of the weekend days is gonna be like high 90s, and I think I've been pretty clear that I like hot weather, but this is not. This is like this.
Here's my issue. My main issue is I fixed someone. VNA done lost my windscreen here apparently, but I got it back. I felt like you could hear me breathing.
You're popping your peas.
No, it's not even that. I was just like, which no one wants to hear. So my issue, that's nasty. My issue is that I get tired of, it's not necessarily the hot weather, because if I'm in the heat, it's just like, okay, that is what it is. I get so tired of going into places and it is freezing cold, and then you walk outside and it's blazing hot. Like, for instance, this studio yesterday, which we have a very bipolar AC system in this office. Like, it's either one extreme or the other. But, for instance, this studio yesterday when we were doing WTF was Antarctica. It was so cold. And then you walk outside and you're like, oh my gosh, it feels nice. And 2 seconds later, I mean, you're just getting slapped with sweat.
That's the thing. That's why people get colds in the summer.
Yeah.
It's because you're going into the heat and then right back into the blaze, what's the frigid air conditioning.
And I can handle that in the summer, but we're at the point in time of the year that we're in the 10th month of the year. Like,
it's October
10th.
It's double digits of October. It's time for the hot weather to go. So that's my stance.
I also will be equally as upset when it is cold in the office and cold outside. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'll never
I'll
happy.
be in a foul mood. I'll be in a foul mood. The other thing I want to bring up, and I brought this up and this is me planning a show for the off season, okay?
Sure, because that's what we like to do on October 10th.
I'm planning a show for the off season, but I want to make sure this doesn't die in my brain and want it to germinate, okay? I talked about this with the
producer of High School Scoreboard Live, our friend Patrick Madrowski,
Pimo.
as well as Craig Way. This offseason, I want to assemble a blue ribbon panel of scholars, high school football scholars.
Okay.
And I want to have a show called Let's Remember Some Guys. Okay? And all we're going to do is we're going to sit around and we're going to name dudes that we watched play Texas high school football that maybe you forgot. Like, obviously, look, like Kyler Murray is not going to make the list.
No.
But you know who will? DeMarque Foster.
Dawson Pendergrass. So this is actually, there's a comedian, and I wish I will do my research. There's a comedian that has a whole skit about this, about like he's saying that the best thing about guys being dudes is when you were together, you just shout out random names, and then it's like, so the whole bit was like, I could say Dawson Pendergrass, and you have to just shout out where they went to school.
Like Dawson Mineola, man.
Yeah.
He's so good at Mineola.
And they were doing it with like MLB players or NFL players. It was NFL players and where they went to college.
Yes.
And so he threw out like some obscure, and someone was like, Minnesota, like in the crowd. And he was like, thank you.
But I want you to think about how fun it would be in the off season. Like,
that would be fun.
Me, you, basically the whole Dave Campbell staff.
Yeah. Oh, I get to be a part of Dudes Rocking.
Plus, this is like, chicks can be dudes too.
This is true. I am a dude who rocks
exactly
in the chick category.
Yeah, being a dude is not a gender specific.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
But like,
it would be bad if you said men who rock.
Exactly right. It's dudes who rock. Aaron Hardigan, Craig Way, get Patrick Madrowski in here. Heck,
yeah. Why not?
Get Pimo in here. Ted Emmerich, Gabe Brooks, Mike Roach, Hudson Standish.
More like Hudson sit-down-ish.
Like, get David Hinojosa up here. Like, I'm telling you.
I'll go anywhere if Jorts is going to be there.
I'm just saying, let's gather a blue ribbon panel and have like an hour-long discussion that is just like, let's remember some guys.
I'm down.
I think that's great content.
Ooh, you know an underrated person that would be really good at that? Oh my gosh, I just said that. And then Jay Plotkin.
Jay Plotkin can be very good. Jay Plotkin can remember some guys.
I was like, he would be like the dark horse of all of the competition.
Anyway, that's our off-season idea. You guys hold us accountable to a Let's Remember Some Guys segment or a show in the off-season, especially like deep off-season. It's not a realignment year, so it's like, this will be good.
This is mark this under category of Tepper has big dumb idea, pickle pull it off. This is exactly what this is.
No.
From a technical lift.
No. We can get V&A to do it.
Oh, God. Yeah, it always falls on us.
Hit the theme extra. Yes, y'all. From the new Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas. It is Texas Football Today, a show about football on a Football Thursday. My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine and TexasFootball.com. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live at TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all the places, or you're listening to the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good, per usual. She's the Duchess of the Dorks, Miss 305. She's Ashley Pickle. We got to get this cord out of the way.
I genuinely thought about... Hi, friends. I genuinely thought about not unmuting your mic just for the bit, but I didn't.
I won't be silenced. The man is trying to silence me.
Dude, this is about to be the best podcast we've ever had. Y'all ready, TFT?
Do a show just for one. I'll do it.
You're all welcome. I try to give the people what they want.
On today's show, folks. Actually, today is Thursday, October 10th, 2024. 7 weeks to Thanksgiving.
Ooh.
Folks, 7 weeks from today.
Oh, it's game time.
It's Thanksgiving. Don't you dare silence me on this.
No, I won't. I would never.
7 weeks from Thanksgiving, from today, the biggest day of the year. Prepare accordingly. Like, it is already too late to start preparing. Now, definitely need to just prepare. So, happy birthday also. I need to speak, like, honestly, I need to speak my truth here. Quite frankly, one of the most beautiful women to ever walk the earth turns 45 today. R&B singer Maya turns 45.
Yeah, she had a minute too.
That's one of the She's one of the ones. Anyway, happy birthday, Maya. Happy birthday. MYA. For those who don't know, it's not, Google her. Mm-hmm. It's episode 1806. On today's show, folks, big show, big beefy show. Got my top 10 Texas high school football games of the week, counting them down from 10 to 1. Then we're going to be joined by the head coach of the Gruver Greyhounds, a 6-0 state-ranked Gruver Greyhounds, Coach Kurt Haberthur. I've been working on this. Call him Coach Hab.
Yeah.
But like Haberthur, it's been something I've been working on.
There's a lot of vowels.
I know. Coach Hab, we're going to talk with him coming up here in a moment. Then, back half the show, the picks, my high school football predictions for week 7 of the Texas high school football season. Then, we're going to talk with our friend Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, will join us live at the end of the show. And speaking of the end of the show, we'll answer your questions on Mailbag Friday. So make sure you get your questions in on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We'll answer a few of them at the back half of the show. Does that work for you?
It works for
Pot
me.
right?
Yeah.
Do we have first fourth through the door?
We sure do. It was jersey number 69,
Nice.
HPTS. Vianney Moreno and Joey Hill. Welcome in, fellas, lady fellas, websites maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Welcome in websites. I like websites. Welcome in, folks. We appreciate you spending a little bit of your day with us. Alrighty, Pickle. Week 7 of the Texas high school football season kicks off tonight live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live, TexanLive.com. You can stream a bunch of games tonight on TexanLive.com. There are, I think it's 667 games across the state this week. Big
Solid.
week.
Yeah.
Big week. Nice little week.
Different from the big bye week last week.
I have narrowed those down to 10. To, in my opinion, the top 10 Texas high school football games of the week. Start rolling them out. Start with number 10, Munster and Lindsay. Pickle, it's the Kraut Bowl.
Let's go.
And, by the way, an actually good game. Mm-hmm. Munster and Lindsay will tee it off tomorrow night in Lindsay in a game that is just one of the best rivalries in Texas high school football. Hard stop. It's just great. It's also just a darn good small school game. Munster has been one of the teams that I've been very high on of late. I think that they are one of those teams, and I'll tell you who else is high on them, is the Computer. The Computer actually has Munster as the number 1 team in 2A Division II right now. And their losses are narrow losses to Holiday and Pottsboro, which are both 3A programs. They also have a win over Windthorst. This team is rolling right now. What I'm interested to see is especially what happens when what has been a high-powered Munster offense takes aim on the road at what has been a pretty decent Lindsay defense led by Coach Casey Jones. Their one loss on the year is to Leonard, 3A team. In fact, they have wins over Pilot Point and Dublin, which are 2 3A teams as well. So they've punched up significantly. For Lindsay, this really begins the gauntlet for them because they play Munster this week and they're at Collinsville next week. So don't be surprised if Lindsay makes another appearance on this list next week. Huge game, big rivalry game, big atmosphere in the Kraut Bowl. It's going to be a lot of fun. Munster and Lindsay going on up in North Texas. On to number 9. Marshall and Texas High. A word for a moment on Marshall. I think this is a team that somehow at 4-1 is kind of flying under the radar, but they have been really, really strong to start the year. And I don't think it's smoke and mirrors. I think this team may in fact have the juice. Specifically, I really like what they've been able to do defensively. Their defense has played particularly well to start the year. They've got wins over Tyler. Their one loss in the year is to Longview, which I think is an acceptable loss, especially for a 5A team. They opened up district play last week with a win over Mount Pleasant. And I think when you take a look, my opinion, when you take a look at District 7 5A Division 2, when you take a look at this district, I think that this is probably for the district championship. Texas High is a team we've talked about a fair amount. Another team the computer loves. They actually have them as the number one team in 5A Division II. And their offense has been absolutely electrifying. Obviously, Tredarian Ball is the tip of the spear there, but they have so many different ways to beat you. And I am interested to see if this, what happens when this high-powered, Texas High offense, which comes in averaging more than 50 points per game, goes up against what may be the best defense they've seen so far this season. So a fascinating ball game out there in Texarkana tomorrow night. Marshall and Texas High, big East Texas showdown. Number 8. Humble Summer Creek and Sheldon CE King. Another game in District 23 6A that, again, falls probably outside of that kind of triumvirate of CE King, or rather Summer Creek, North Shore, and Atascocita. CE King's probably the fourth place team in that district. They can certainly go out and shock the world if they were to go and knock off Summer Creek. I think CE King's good enough to do it. Specifically, I really think that what they've got cooking on the defensive side is good enough to hold them in a lot of games. My concern is twofold for them. One, can the offense find enough juice? The last time they played one of these contenders, Atascocita, they were held to 7 points. The other thing that I want to see is in this game is Summer Creek, and do they let one game beat them twice? Coming off of what was a heartbreaking loss to Atascocita last week, they have got to refocus and get right, because if they, to borrow a phrase, fart around, CE King's good enough to beat them.
Yeah.
So my question is, can Summer Creek refocus and get back on track this week against a talented and dangerous CE King team? That's my number 8 pick. Number 7, Kilgore and Tyler Chapel Hill. In a game that probably has lost a little bit of its luster, I think for a couple of reasons. Kilgore lost last week to Henderson.
Yeah.
I want to know where their head's at.
It was a bad loss at home.
It's a disappointing loss. Henderson's better than I think people realize, but
yeah.
I think you're right. That's a game that you shouldn't lose. Going up against a Chapel Hill team that is wounded right now. Ricky Stewart's nicked up. Demetrius Brisbane did not play last week. Matt Stepp tells us he does not expect him to play this week. I want to see what happens in this one. This is also a big rivalry matchup. This is, I believe, the 7th time in the last 3.5 years these teams have played each other. And Kilgore has usually won in the regular season, and Chapel Hill is undefeated in the playoffs against Kilgore. What happens when these two teams tee it up? Can Kilgore avoid letting one loss beat them twice? Can Chapel Hill find a way, probably without Demetrius Brisbane, to get that offense rolling? That's a big question in this one. Big East Texas clash out there, Kilgore and Chapel Hill. Number 6, Salina and Sulphur Springs. Love this game. Matchup of unbeatens out there at the home of the glass toilet, the glass bathroom there in Sulphur Springs. And we talked about this on Tepper Step, which you can watch here tomorrow. But what Brandon Faircloth is doing there at Sulphur Springs is kind of what he was brought in to do. I mean, he is looking the part of a guy who can make it happen out there. He has been absolutely exceptional to start this season. And what I want to see is what happens. Especially, they got a big offensive line. Their offense has been very good. The trench play in this game is going to be fantastic. Salina might have the best pound for pound offensive line in the state. Can anybody slow down Salina? This is your big final exam here, like your measuring stick, Sulphur Springs. You get the number one team in the state in your place, an opportunity to really make a statement. Salina's got to be your favorite in this one, the way they're running the ball, with Logan Gutierrez, Harrison Williams, that big offensive line, and the way they're throwing it with Bo Bentley, and their defense has been excellent as well. It's a tall order for Sulphur Springs, but if they can do this in this matchup of unbeatens, then they will send shockwaves across the state. Number 5, Wichita Falls, City View, and Jacksboro. Love this game.
Yeah.
Really excited about this game. And for a game that I think is flying under people's radar and shouldn't be. This is a Jacksboro team, is 4-1, and their quarterback, Wyatt Gavitt's been great, but let me tell you about the star of that show. Cannon Valenzuela. We saw him at 7-on-7 in the summer, and we were like, this guy. He's the real stinking deal, and he's been exceptional for them. For City View, I think they're the best team in Wichita Falls this year, and I think that their duo of quarterback Malachi Williams and running back Keyshawn Perry is really, really fun to watch. My question for me is going to be, can City View match Jacksboro's defense? Because I think Jacksboro might have the slight edge defensively. This is a fabulous game in District 6-3A Division 2. I'm really interested in it. That's number 5. Number 4, Richland and Denton Ryan. Obviously, we saw the story on TexasFootball.com yesterday. This game is live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live tomorrow night. The story about the death of Aaron De La Torre, the defensive coordinator for Denton Ryan. Denton Ryan, of course, is having quite an emotional week. Obviously, with that, the loss to Aledo on Friday, which I know pales in comparison to that. But there's just a lot going on with Ryan right now. A lot of this is a measurement of like where their head is at, and I think this is, you want to talk about a challenge for a head coach and Dave Hennigan to keep his guys focused and keep his guys together in the wake of all of this stuff, and get things moving in the right direction against and not let one loss beat you twice up against a Richland team that is capable of doing that. This is a top 5 matchup in 581, and Richland has looked terrific to start the year, and their quarterback Cates. Oh man, it's Jed Cates' kid. I'm sorry, Coach.
Oh goodness.
I know. This is mean of me. I'm gonna look this up. This is worth looking up. But he has been exceptional to start the year. And the question for me in this one is, this is the first time I think all year that Richland is going to need some balance offensively. And their star running back, Michael Turner, the Baylor commit, is out for the year. So Drew Cates, a lot's going to fall on Drew Cates and the defense. A lot of moving parts in this game with Richland and Denton Ryan, some on the field, some off the field. It is a game we'll certainly be keeping an eye on this week. That's number 4. Number 3, Argyle Liberty Christian and Plano Prestonwood. Little private school remix here.
Okay.
This is a big game. Plano Prestonwood is flying under the radar, I think. And I think, for a program that, of course, has state championship pedigree in the past, but they're 5-1 to start the year, and they kind of look like the Prestonwood of old. They've got a quarterback in junior Luke Glass, who's been excellent. They've got a running back in Takashi Shaw, who's been very good as well. They get an opportunity against the arguably, the number 2 team in the state, but arguably the best private school team in the state, in Argyle Liberty Christian. They have one loss in the year. It's Texas High. We've already talked about how good they are. And look, Argyle Liberty Christian has been absolutely rolling to start the year, especially on the offensive side. Their junior quarterback, Quinn Murphy, has been really, really strong. They've got a ton of different playmakers, including a tight end named Cooper Witten, which seems interesting. Fabulous game here. Argyle Liberty Christian, Plano Prestonwood, kind of a sorting game as far as DFW private school powers are concerned. Fabulous, fabulous game there. Number 2, Stratford and Gruver. We're going to talk with the head coach of the Gruver Greyhounds, Kurt Haberthur, coming up here in just a moment. This is a huge opportunity for Gruver to prove that they are ready for their close-up. District 1-2A, Division 2 opener. And what I love about this Gruver team is that their offense has been absolutely terrific. Briggs Satterfield, Walker Maupin, the Dax Conyers, the brother of Jalen Conyers, who's now at Texas Tech. This team is loaded. They have got dudes all over the place. Here is your final test against Stratford, the number 2 team in the state, a team that with Bryce Braden, and they've got Julio Valdez back, their running back, they are going to be very, very dangerous. This is a huge test for Gruver. They're at Greyhound Stadium at 7 o'clock. We're going to talk to Coach Hab coming up here in a moment, but really excited about this one. And I think number 1 is pretty obvious. The number 1 team game in the state this week is
Making you wait. Boom!
Dimmitt and Tulia. Dimmitt and Tulia
worth it.
is absolutely the biggest game of the week. I love this Dimmitt team. I think they're better than their record indicates at 2-4. I think that they're kind of a hard luck loser a couple of weeks ago when they played Lamesa. Want to see what they do against Tulia. Big game there. Okay, if you want to keep going.
I wondered why.
Yeah, okay. So Duncanville and DeSoto is the number 1 team of the number 1 game of the state. Duncanville and DeSoto. It's the both of the 2-time defending 6A state champs taking aim at one another. 2 teams that don't like each other. 2 teams that are sick of hearing about one another. Have circled one another. And I'll just say this: we talk about it a lot in the picks video, so stick around here for that. Points.
Very points.
Expect points. I think there's going to be a high-scoring game. Both these offenses playing at an exceptionally high level. We have questions, I think, for both defenses in this game.
Yeah, it kind of gives off North Crowley DeSoto vibes a little bit.
I think so. Duncanville and DeSoto is by far the number one game in the state this week, and we will be all over it on TexasFootball.com.
You should have stuck with your gut and stuck with Tulia.
Dimmitt and Tulia?
Yeah, that's shame on you.
I know. I'm sorry.
You know better.
I'm excited about Dimmitt and Tulia. Maybe you guys aren't, but that's on you. We are Texas Football Today. We're here Mondays and Thursdays on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Hey.
Hi.
TexasFootball.com/subscribe. It's where you can become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber. We're hard at work on the 2024 recruiting edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. If you want to get that in your mailbox before it hits newsstands, and you want to watch live Texas high school football tonight, and live playoff water polo, and live playoff volleyball. Do I have this correct?
Volleyball's upcoming. Yeah,
soon.
We're not there yet, but we're getting close. That's to no fault of our own.
On Dave Campbell's Texan Live. You can watch all those games on Texan Live. Literally thousands of live high school events across the state of Texas as part of your Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscription. Go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe. Coming up here in just a moment, the head coach of the state-ranked undefeated Gruver Greyhounds, Coach Kurt Haberthur, will join us. But first, a word from these valued partners.
30-yard line, the 20, the 10.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, even at home. We provide compassionate, caring support virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here.
Hey DFW residents, get your grocery essentials in minutes, not hours or days, with Wing Drone Delivery. Forget about last-minute trips to the store when you need things like cereal for breakfast before school, medicine for a cold, or snacks for a movie night. Wing's drones get you quick, no-contact delivery in as fast as 15 minutes. Say goodbye to last-minute grocery runs and say hello to more of your valuable time. Sign up today.
Back here on Texas Football Today, I'm Greg, that's Ashley. And Pickle, let's go to the hotline, and let's go up to the Panhandle, way up in the Panhandle. Talk with the head coach of the state-ranked undefeated Gruver Greyhounds. We're pleased to be joined by Coach Kurt Haberthur. Coach Hab, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. How are things in Gruver, America?
Oh, hot. Ready for this heat wave to go away.
Yeah, us too. Absolutely as well. I want to ask you a little bit about you guys' hot start. You guys are 6-0 to start the year, have been absolutely rolling in the early part of the season. Coming into the year, when you took a look at the squad that you guys were going to be rolling out there, would it have surprised you that you guys were sitting here at 6-0 to start the year?
Yeah, probably 6-0. I think so. I thought that we had a chance to win. Coming into the season, I felt like we had a chance to win them all, but knew that we had some good folks on there, and they could beat us too. So, yeah, I mean, we returned quite a bit, but just filling in the question marks from last year, didn't know how fast that would take.
It's hard not to notice what you guys are doing offensively, which has been spectacular. 54 points a game to start the year. This is an offense that has been absolutely rolling. Can you pinpoint exactly what has this offense operating at such a high level right now?
I think it's our offensive line. We have quite a bit of experience there with multiple guys that are multi-year starters. And then we have, our skill guys that are, anytime you have a quarterback that comes back for over, more than 1 year and if Briggs stays healthy, Briggs Satterfield, if he stays healthy, we'll have him for 3 years. That's always a plus too. And then we have several receivers that were back. And then, and some of our guys in the backfield, Walker Maupin plays running back. And then Dax Conyers moved up from JV from last year. doing a fine job as well.
Talking with Kurt Haberthur, the head coach of the Gruver Greyhounds here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at #TF Today. Coach, I want to ask you specifically about your running back. You mentioned Walker Maupin, who was really good last week in you guys' win. I know there's good bloodlines there in with the Maupin family up there in Gruver, with of course Bailey, his sister, who's now a star basketball player. I want to ask you about what he brings to the table. The numbers and the tape is impressive. What is it about Walker Maupin that really sets him apart?
Well, he's a good kid. He works hard and he's very, very intelligent. He doesn't want to be left out of anything. He's involved in every single thing that goes on in our school. So he's just that kind of kid. And, he's big with his youth group as well. And he's one of our captains. If you were to look at him on the field, you'd probably say his speed. He's pretty quick, and when he gets an open air, he's pretty tough to catch. But phenomenal worker, just involved in everything that he can get his hands in. And he's got a twin brother that is the starting left tackle, and Wesley Maupin. So it's quite a family. It's a neat dynamic.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys are just going to go back to the Maupin tree and pick another star. I want to ask you about the other side of the ball as well, the defense, which probably flies under the radar a little bit. I think when you're scoring 54 points a game, people are going to want to talk about the offense, but your defense has been doing work as well. What has you most encouraged about what you've seen from your defense so far this season?
Well, it's the defensive front, our defensive line, and then our linebackers do a good job every week of whatever the opponent's offense is doing to, get 3 and outs, get us off the field, and get our offense back out there. Anytime that you're scoring, we're fortunate enough to score the points that we're scoring, it's because we're getting the other team's offense off the field pretty fast, and we're getting back out there. Our linebackers, I feel like they do a good job of reading, good tacklers, pretty physical in there. And then our defensive line, we roll a lot of kids. Coach Callan is our defensive line coach, and he rolls a lot of kids in there about every 2 or 3 plays. So it keeps guys fresh for the whole game.
Coach, this is your second year there at Gruver. There, you guys have been exceptionally successful in your first 2 seasons there. I'm curious, what you maybe know now about this job and this program that you didn't know when you took the job, left Perryton to come here.
Yeah, just how involved our kids are in every single thing. I mean, it's crazy. They're UIL academics. They're in band. They're in ag. They're huge in ag. Mm-hmm. So you don't, as the year goes, we don't go football and then go off season and then it's not just a football gig. I mean, they're involved all year long: football, basketball, baseball, track, golf, tennis. We got some cross country kids that play football, and then they're we go to regionals and state a lot in our UIL academics. So it's a very involved school. It's a very involved community. There's high expectations of their kids, and that's I think you want to be a place that has high expectations, because on the other side of that, and with the low expectations, then nothing's fun then. So just the high expectations, I would say, of the community and the kids have of themselves, and so we're able to hold them at a pretty high standard.
Finally, Coach, a small game tomorrow night, welcoming in the number 2 team in the state, the Stratford Elks. They're in a District 1-2A Division II opener to Greyhound Stadium tomorrow night. I don't want to ask you to tell everybody what you're planning, but when you take a look at what you're up against tomorrow night, I'm curious what you see in Stratford. Oh, well, you see Stratford. I mean, they are what they always are. They're big, they're physical, they give you a lot to look at. Their defense is very, very sound. They're well coached. I mean, all the coaching cliches go with Stratford. I mean, they are what they've been traditionally. Bryce Braden is a very difficult opponent. All the running backs are, and their line is good again. And then those coaches just do a phenomenal job over there. But he's Kurt Haberthur. He's the head coach of the Gruver Greyhounds, undefeated 10th ranked team in the state. Coach, we sure appreciate your time. Congratulations again on the fantastic start, and go get them tomorrow night. All right. Thanks for having me. Absolutely. There goes Kurt Haberthur, head coach, the Gruver Greyhounds, way up there in the Panhandle. Like, basically, you can see Canada from there. We appreciate
that is north of Texas.
We appreciate his time as always, and excited to see that game. It really does feel like, this is going to sound strange, you could tell me what the score line is and remove the teams, and I could tell you who won the game. In the sense of, like, if this game is like 28-14, Stratford won that game. But if this game's in like the 40s, and like they are able to break through what has been a very good Stratford defense and find a way through and get Stratford into a bit of a shootout, like, game on. And you get things rolling up there at home. Never know. It's a top 10. They're a top 10 team for a reason. And I'm excited to see what they've done. He's done an unbelievable job there in 2 years. I mean, he is, I have this pulled up. I didn't realize it. He's 16-3 in a season and a half there. At
like
Gruver.
you said too, it's not like his kids aren't playing other sports and everything too. Like, it's one thing to go to a big school where you have your football guys and you get to work with them all year long. He was like, it shocked me. Like, the number one shocking thing was that he got there and everyone was playing everything. That's something that goes so underrated. When it comes to a small school. Let me go on my small school rant.
Because you're a small school product. You're a Llano grad.
Yeah.
How many kids were in your school at Llano?
We had like 450.
Okay. Gruver's a third that size.
Yeah.
Of 151.
And we did everything. If you were slightly athletic, you were playing darn near every sport.
Yeah. And so at Gruver, and they're good at everything. You remember I mentioned Bailey Maupin, who was our Miss Texas basketball a couple years ago. She's now at Tech.
She was incredible.
They're just good at everything. It's for some reason just a really athletic town. And they're going to give Stratford some hell tomorrow night. I'm excited to watch that ball game. Stratford and Gruver. We appreciate Coach Kurt Haberthur hopping on with us. We are Texas Football Today. We're here Mondays and Thursdays on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Pickle, week 7 of the 2024 Texas high school football season is upon us. And once again, Vianney Moreno was subjected, I think it's the word.
That's fair. That's a good way to put it.
To listening to my voice and editing the picks video. Here it is. My predictions for week 7 of the Texas high school ball season on Texas Football Today.
District play heats up in week 7 of the Texas high school football season. These are the picks. Welcome into the picks, your guide to the Texas high school football weekend. My name is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and it's true. Here in week 7 of the 2024 Texas high school football season, we are largely done with non-district play. There's some out there, right? Certainly the 6-man ranks is a fair amount of non-district games still going on, but make no mistake, for almost the entirety of the state, district play is here. And these games matter. The stakes are being raised, and every game is going to help shape what 2024 Texas high school football playoff brackets are going to look like when they come out in like 5 weeks. Yeah, we're getting to the good part now. And I think you're going to see playmakers stepping up in big ways and meeting the moment, because that's what we're having here. Bigger moments each and every week. If you're looking for a reason to lock into Texas high school football, consider this your message. It's time to get serious, because we're going to have a lot of fun. That includes massive games in week 7 of the Texas high school football season all across the state. There's only one place to start, though. We start in South Dallas. 7 o'clock Friday night at Eagle Stadium in DeSoto. It is a matchup of state-ranked defending state champions in 6A and rivals, too, as the Duncanville Panthers visit the DeSoto Eagles. Yeah, it's time. What are the keys to this matchup? Key number 1, the superstars. And look, we can cut through all the nonsense, right? There's going to be a lot of talk about what's going to matter and not matter in this game, but we can boil this down to the star power here. It's not often you can do that in a game of this magnitude, but both of these teams have such outrageous star power on each side that it's hard to ignore. For Duncanville, you have the Alabama commit Keelan Russell at quarterback. You have the Oregon commit Decoria Moore out wide. You have a superstar safety in Tyron Polley, and that's not to mention all the other guys I am definitely leaving out right now. This team is absolutely loaded. Looking across the field at DeSoto, who is also absolutely loaded. The A&M commit Tiger Ryden at the running back spot. They have 2 outrageous receivers in Dalen Singleton and Boobie Feaster. a stud edge rusher in Keelan Abrams. This team is loaded for bear. And again, I'm absolutely not mentioning like 3 or 4 other megastars on this DeSoto team. These two teams are pound for pound the most loaded teams in Texas high school football from a prospect perspective. And we can talk all we want about the scene. We can talk all we want about all the other things that surround this game. But in the end, my question here is which team's superstars shine the brightest on the biggest stage? Key number 2, the worker bees. So we just talked about the star power, right? The guys who are going to make big, splashy impact plays that are going to ultimately shape this game. But I want to take our eye off the ball a little bit and focus on some guys who may not play those big, flashy positions, but who I think are integral to the way that these teams operate. And I know these coaches would tell you that they're the glue guys that make this team go. Guys like Duncanville linebacker Nehemiah Borner, who has been so good for them, or their big offensive lineman Cam Newhouse, who has been such a rock-solid member of that offensive line. On the DeSoto side, you look at guys like their outstanding defensive tackle, Jaden Randall, who's been really good for them in the middle of that defense, or their big offensive lineman in Byron Washington. I mean big. The viral sensation has been crucial to their success. This is one of those games where it's going to be easy to pay attention to who has the ball because the guys who have the ball are incredible, right? But take your eye off the ball on this one. Look at the linebacker spots, look at the front 7, look at the offensive line, pay attention to those guys because the glue guys are ultimately what's going to win this ball game. And key number 3, the rivalry. So there's not a whole lot of playoff implications in this game, which is strange, right? For 2 of the very best teams in the state, there's just not a whole lot on the line as far as what the playoffs are going to look like. DeSoto is going to go to the 6A Division II bracket, which they've won the state championship in each of the last 2 seasons. And Duncanville is locked into the 6A Division I bracket, where they've won the state championship each of the last 2 seasons. These are 2 of the preeminent teams in Texas high school football, and yet when they meet, there's not a whole lot on the line functionally, but don't tell them that. These 2 teams don't like each other, and these 2 teams have grown into rivals that I think is starting to reach a boiling point. I think the reason is pretty simple, right? Because there's a lot of talk about these teams. Going into last year, all the talk was around Duncanville and how they'd finally gotten that state championship, how they were the team to beat, how they were absolutely rocking and rolling, and no team was going to stand in their path. And I think DeSoto got tired of hearing about it. And I think DeSoto went out there and beat them, plain and simple. And I think their win last year really vaulted them to that ultimate legitimacy of being pound for pound the best team in Texas high school football last year. Well, now that conversation's been going on for a year. And I think Duncanville's sick of hearing about DeSoto. They're thinking, well, what about you? You beat us one time and suddenly you're the talk of the town? I think that there is a real rivalry budding between these 2 teams. And I think that's going to come to a head on Friday night in DeSoto. Now, with that rivalry comes emotion. So I want to see which of these teams can handle that environment, and more importantly, which of these teams can take it to their arch rival. Who am I picking? Going with DeSoto. The Eagles get the nod here on the strength of their offense. Being at home helps as well, but when you take a look at the balance and the variety of ways that they can beat you offensively, that's where I think they have the edge. Tiger Ride and their big outstanding weapons on the outside, like Boobie Feaster and Dalen Singleton, they can beat you in so many different ways. Plus the edge rusher off the edge in Keelan Abrams, I think, could wreck some shop in this ball game. Now, this is going to be a great defense that they're going up against, right? This Duncanville defense has been absolutely outstanding, and we have concerns about the DeSoto defense. I think well-earned concern. When you take a look at what happened a couple of weeks ago against North Crowley, they got lit up, and their secondary needs to play their best game yet going up against Keelan Russell and DeCorian Moore. That is one thing. There's 2 guys whose names we haven't mentioned that I think are going to have a big impact on this game. One of them is Duncanville running back Jaquaylin Armstrong. They have to be able to run the ball. I think that if you allow this DeSoto defense with Keelan Abrams to pin their ears back and come after Keelan Russell, I think that is going to be a problem. They have to be able to run the ball. I think Jaquaylin Armstrong has to be the tip of the spear for that. The other one, we went to the DeSoto quarterback in Keldon Ryan, who has had his moments of looking absolutely outstanding all year long. He needs to play his best game yet, take care of the football, and be a true distributor of the football in a comfortable way back there. Look, this game is too close to call. plain and simple. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if Duncanville won this game. But in the end, at home, I think DeSoto is your slight favorite. I think the Eagles come away with a good win. Let's go to the Panhandle, 7 o'clock Friday night at Greyhound Stadium in Gruver. It is a District 1-2A Division II opener as the Gruver Greyhounds welcome in the Stratford Elks in a state-ranked matchup. Hey, do you know Gruver's 6-0? That's right, the Greyhounds are off to a really hot start, thanks in large part to a high-flying offense. 54 points per game are the Greyhounds. They're off and running. Get it? Greyhounds running. Anyway, Rick Satterfield, their outstanding quarterback, has been terrific. Dax Conyers, if you recognize that last name, is doing work on the outside. They got a big-time running back as well in Walker Maupin. They have been very strong offensively, but here comes their biggest test to date against state-ranked Stratford, which has gotten the wheels back on after 2 consecutive losses earlier in the year. We talked a lot about Bryce Braden, who is their do-everything moose back there who can throw, run, tackle, intercept, stir the Gatorade, do a little bit of everything. But I think that the emergence of Julio Valdez, their running back, has given them another weapon offensively, and I do think their defense has tightened up lately as well. Gruver's got the firepower to go score for Stratford, but I don't think the Stratford defense lets it get there. I think the Elks come away with a win. 7 o'clock Friday night at Jacksboro ISD Stadium. It is a District 6-3A Division II matchup between the Wichita Falls City View Mustangs and the Jacksboro Tigers. It's a fascinating ball game because both teams have a dynamic duo that you're going to hear a lot about. For this City View team, which I think is the best team in Wichita Falls this season, it starts with their quarterback Malachi Williams, but they have an outstanding running back in Keyshawn Perry, who has been very strong to start the year as well. They play well off of one another, and their offense has been rolling as a result. On the other side, for Jacksboro, they've got a pass-catch combo you've got to see in Wyatt Gavitt, their outstanding quarterback, Cannon Valenzuela, their wide receiver and linebacker, who really dazzled us at State 7-on-7 this offseason, and we have not been able to quit watching his highlights. He is a human highlight reel out there on both sides of the ball. The way you split these two teams, in my opinion, is that Jacksboro has a slightly better defense, and I think that may be the edge in a close game. I think Jacksboro gets an important district win. And let's go to San Antonio, 7 o'clock Friday night at Orem Stadium in Alamo Heights. It is a District 13-5A Division II matchup between the Alamo Heights Mules and the Victoria West Warriors. So Alamo Heights has been state ranked in the top 5 all year for us, but we haven't really talked a ton about them. I think in large part because I think they've just been better than everybody that they've played, at least till they got to district play and played a game against Bernie, which Bernie kind of pushed them. They've got a guy in Michael Terry III who is, box office. He's on. If you've never seen this guy, he is one of the most dynamic playmakers in the state of Texas, and I think that the emergence of running back DK Garza has really allowed them to be diverse offensively, and that's given them a real edge in their game. Victoria West is the party crasher here. They are off to a 6-0 start, which is already matching their win total from each of the last 3 seasons. They have done an outstanding job, and I think a lot of it comes back to their quarterback, DJ Martinez, who has been really solid for them, and an opportunistic defense. Last week against Kerrville-Tivy, they had 3 first-half interceptions to kind of run away and hide from the Antlers, and that's what they got to do this week as well. I think they got to start fast on the defensive side, come up with plays, steal a couple possessions, and play from ahead. In the end, I think Alamo Heights is a little bit more of the balanced team in this one, and I give them the slight edge. But those are far from the only big games in Week 7 of the Texas high school football season. Let's get to the lightning round. I like Lexington over Thrall. Give me Stamford to take down Cisco. And Cedar Park gets by Georgetown Eastview. I like Mason over Thorndale. Give me Wascom over Beckville. And I'm going with Albany to take down Miles. I like Newton over Woodville. Junction takes down Center Point. And Jim Ned gets a win over Comanche. I like Canyon Randall over Dumas. Give me Canyon to take down Canyon West Plains. And I'm going with Waco University over Brian Rutter. Ira Ann takes down El Dorado in our private school game of the week. I like Argyle Liberty Christian over Plano Prestonwood. And give me Burton to edge out Somerville. Refugio knocks Santa Maria from the ranks of the unbeaten. I like Brownsville Veterans Memorial over Harlingen. And give me Lovelady over Overton. I like Smithson Valley over San Antonio Wagner. Give me Somerset over Canyon Lake. And Goliad beats Corpus Christi London. I like Abernathy over New Home. Poth takes down Catula, and Denton Ryan bounces back with a win over Richland. I like Windthorst over Archer City. Electra takes down Seymour, and Argyle beats Arlington Seguin. In our six-man game of the week, I like Jonesboro over Miami. I like Louisville to take down Flower Mound. And in a matchup of state-ranked unbeatens, I like Salina over Sulphur Springs. I think Kilgore bounces back with a win over Chapel Hill. Staying in East Texas, I like Texas High to take care of Marshall. And way out west, I like El Paso del Valle over El Paso Hanks. Talk about athleticism in this one. I like Hampshire Fannett over Silsby. Summer Creek bounces back with a win over C.E. King. And Belleville takes down Sealy. I like Montgomery over Huntsville. I think Spring Westfield beats surprising Aldine Nimitz. And a game that I think is too close to call, I like Klein Oak over Tomball. Seminole stays perfect with a win over Fort Stockton. I think Carthage gives Center their first loss of the year. And give me Garrison over Shelbyville. I like Mount Enterprise over Grapeland. Huge game in San Antonio. I like Johnson over Reagan. And I like Ropes to beat Tahoka. Wolf of Friendship over Powers Midland. I like Lampasas over Brownwood. And give me Franklin to beat Troy. Huge game in Central Texas. I like Temple over Hewitt Midway. And it's the Kraut Bowl. I like Munster over Lindsay. Honeygrove beats Rivercrest, and Tioga beats Whitewright. And those are the picks. What am I wrong about? Games I leave out? Leave comments down below. Don't forget that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Thanks for watching. Enjoy Week 7 of the Texas high school football season. We'll see you.
Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com here. And today we're going to do something a little different for our listeners. We're diving into something important that goes beyond the gridiron. And we are pleased to be joined by Megan Moran. Megan Moran is the manager of the Tobacco, Asthma, and Cancer branch of the Texas Department of State Health Services. Megan, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, first, thank you for having me on today. It's a pleasure. I'm excited to talk about Vapes Down, which is our anti-vaping campaign that aims to educate young Texans on the dangers of vaping so that they never start or they're encouraged to quit vaping and focus on what really matters, whether it's football, academics, or just staying healthy. Also, we're especially excited to partner with Dave Campbell's Texas Football for an online voting challenge called the Loudest Student Section. And the goal of that challenge is to encourage students and get them engaged to pledge to save their breath for things that are more important to them, such as cheering on their favorite team, performing in a marching band maybe, and even excelling both on and off the field.
You mentioned the Vapes Down campaign. Can you just tell us a little bit more kind of about that and maybe how you feel like it ties to Texas high school football?
Sure. So basically the Vapes Down campaign, it's focused on ensuring that youth know that, vaping does have consequences to it. There are different types of chemicals involved in it. There's like over 31 chemicals, in fact. Things like formaldehyde, which can be used to preserve dead animals, hydrogen cyanide, which is found in pesticides, and it can even contain cancer-causing chemicals. So these devices aren't harmless, and it's definitely not just water vapor. Also, vapes have a high concentration of nicotine. For example, just one vape pod can contain as much nicotine as a pack of cigarettes, and that's pretty concerning for young people because nicotine can rewire the brain, causing issues like brain fog, depression, anxiety, and poor athletic performance. And so, we just want to make sure that everyone is aware that these effects can actually impact you both mentally and physically on the field.
Texas high school football, we talk about it all the time here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. It's about community and kind of rallying together for something bigger. It kind of seems like this partnership then really makes perfect sense. How can students vote in this platform?
Yeah, so there are 60 high schools that are named as finalists, and you can check to see if your high school is on the list by vote by visiting TexasFootball.com and searching for Vapes Down. Voting will continue until August 31st, so go to TexasFootball.com today and start voting.
You were talking a little bit about how the vapes are more than just fruity flavors and water vapor. We're talking about all the dangerous stuff that's in it. I've heard from some coaches that vaping is impacting athletic performance because of what vaping does to your lungs. Athletes will feel winded way faster than they used to. Can you talk a little bit more maybe about just like the impacts and the especially on athletes with the vaping problem?
Yeah, absolutely. So vaping has a direct effect on your ability to perform both mentally and physically on and off the field. it can actually make it harder to focus in class and harder to perform, any athletic sports that you might be doing. For example, it can cause shortness of breath, coughing, chest pain, and it can even cause high blood pressure. And that's why we're asking students to save their breath for things that really matter to them, whether it's sports or otherwise.
Okay, so I think the message is clear for anyone who hasn't started vaping. Great job, great work, 5 stars. Don't start. But for people who have started vaping, this is your sign to quit, right? But how can our audience maybe find out more about what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so students can visit vapesdown.com to test their knowledge about vaping. Some of the answers may surprise you. I'm still constantly surprised by what we continue to learn about vapes. Also, for anyone who is already vaping and needs help quitting, we know it's not easy, but it's definitely possible. And so, we're here to help where possible. Go to vapesdown.com and click Ready to Quit, and you can access peer support and get started on a quit plan and find resources to help you quit vaping for good.
Okay, so we also, we hear from a lot of coaches and teachers and parents, who are readers of ours and love what we do on the Texas high school football front. And we know how important it is to them to keep vaping out of schools, right? And so I guess my question would be what would you tell people like that, people who are trying to keep vaping out of schools?
Yeah, so that we've got plenty of resources available for teachers, coaches, and parents. You can visit the DSHS website at dshs.texas.gov and search vape resources for a toolkit of materials that includes printable quizzes, handouts, and communication guides that you can use both at home or in a school setting. It's about making sure that everyone in the community has the tools and resources they need to encourage young people to put vapes down. And, the sooner that we can communicate the dangers of vaping, the greater chance we have at preventing young people from starting in the first place.
Okay, so for our students, head on over to vapesdown.com. For our coaches and educators and families, go to dshs.texas.gov and search vape resources for more information. Megan, before we let you go, is there anything else you want to add?
Just that we're excited to see the Texas high school football community step up and lead by example with the loudest student section voting challenge. It isn't just about bragging rights. It's also about making a positive change for you and your community. So let's keep cheering for our teams and leave the vapes behind.
Folks, don't forget to show your school spirit. Pledge to put vapes down by voting at texasfootball.com. Search vapes down. Let's save our breath for Friday night. She is Megan Moran. She is with the Texas Department of State Health Services. Megan, we so appreciate your time and look forward to talking soon.
Great. Thank you.
Pickle. It is week 7 of the Texas high school football season and a big football weekend across the state of Texas. There's only one person we want to talk to about that. Let's bring him in. Go to the hotline. We're pleased to be joined by the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer and the voice of the Texas Longhorns. It is our friend Craig Way. Mr. Way, happy second weekend in October to you.
Yeah, second Saturday in October means something. Hey, the second weekend in October, right? There's a bunch of high school football happening this weekend that we need to keep track of, right?
It's a nice little football weekend if you're into that kind of thing, and especially here in the state of Texas. And I guess we should probably mention the small gathering of friends. It's going to be going on at the Cotton Bowl on Saturday. What number Red River is this for you?
It's enough that it precedes calling it the Red River Rivalry, or as I say it very slowly, or you'll Elmer Fudd it, you'll wed with a rivalry. If you're not careful, it's actually my 34th.
34th.
My 34th. Yeah, 34 years, 10 of those in the broadcast booth as the analyst, and then another 24 in the play-by-play chair. So, yeah, it's been a few of them.
Okay, so you've spent 33 of the second Saturday in October's in the broadcast booth. My question for you, Craig White, do you have a favorite Red River game?
I do.
Oh,
I do. There are several that are really meaningful and good. Surprisingly, this might surprise some Texas fans, 49-0 2 years ago is not my favorite all-time one. It's a top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, but it's not my favorite. I would say probably there's 2 that are really good. 2018, Dicker the kicker,
mm-hmm.
the 48-45 win over Oklahoma was big. 2008 was really big when Oklahoma was number 1 and Texas was number 5, and Texas got down 14-3, and Jordan Shipley returned a kickoff for a touchdown, and it flipped the script, and Colt McCoy had a brilliant game, and they came back and they won that and went to number 1. But without question, the number 1 favorite one all time for me is 2005. Not only because that was the year Texas won the national championship. Remember, going into that 05 game, Texas had lost 5 in a row to Oklahoma. And even though going into that game, the Longhorns were a double-digit favorite and the largest favorite they have been until this year. Last time they were favored by a couple of touchdowns was that year. But until you've done it, you hadn't done it, and they hadn't won since 99 in that series and when Bob Stoops' first year. So it remained to be seen that could they get it done. Well, they got it done in a big way. Pretty good running back, a freshman by the name of Jamal Charles, who was our guest on the coaches show last night, had an 80-yard touchdown run. Roderick Wright, I can still see him rumbling 67 yards, I think it was, for a touchdown. And they won 45-12. They won authoritatively, and then they went on and won the national championship. So I probably that one, because I know it was as much relief as it was excitement for a lot of folks connected with Texas that they were able to finally, get over the, and they ended up winning 3 of the next 4 against OU. It comes and goes and ebbs and flows, as we know this rivalry does.
I'm 99% sure that I had the newspaper clipping of that Jamal Charles run hung up in my bedroom after that happened. I
well,
really
there's
did
a
that.
picture, and Ashley, you'll know this, because we had it last night out. John Bianco, the Texas media relations staff, had this photo where you see Jamal right after it parted like the Red Sea, and he's splitting into the open field, and there are 2 Sooners chasing him, and they're not going to catch him. He was an outstanding track athlete, but they're chasing him, and about 5 yards behind them is Justin Blaylock, All-American guard for Texas, and he's already got his arms up in the air.
Yes.
And Jamal was just barely crossed midfield. But
that was the photo.
He's got 50 yards to go, but everybody knew he was going to score that photo, right?
Yes, that was the one.
It'll be a big day, obviously, of football, but it is also worth noting that you will also be making your trip to the State Fair of Texas, and so I ask you, Craig, what's on the menu for you? Obviously, you have to work, so you can't just wander around and eat everything. But do you have a game plan for enjoying the fair that the fair has to offer?
Well, there is a mandatory presence of a corn dog in the booth.
Yes.
That has to happen. I mean, I look back over Facebook, and how on Facebook you have all those Facebook memories, and they had all these Facebook memories coming down this week, and a lot of them were of past Texas OU games. And I swear to you, 3 of the 6 had me standing in the booth beaming with a corn dog in my hand. So that's part of it. Some of those unique state fair foods do have my attention. And I will tell you this, it's on record because it was in our show that we taped last night and will air around the state tonight. Longhorn Weekly with Coach Sark, Steve Sarkisian, said on the air last night that if Texas wins, he is completely down with the cotton candy deep fried bacon on a stick.
Oh my goodness.
That I gotta be honest, that to me sounds like a binding verbal contract. I'm no lawyer.
That sounds like a heart attack.
He said a triple bypass special, but he's down for it. He said if they win, he's down for it.
All right, Craig, it's an odd week at Texas high school football this week because there is one game in particular that everyone's going to be talking about. Obviously, the game going down not far, actually, from the State Fair of Texas on I-20 between Duncanville and DeSoto. This is a matchup of the 2 defending 6A state champs back-to-back, and, of course, loaded with absolute playmakers in this one. It is chock full of prospects. My question for you with a game like this, knowing that there is no real playoff implications in this one. DeSoto, we think, is probably going to go to the division or going to make the playoffs. They're going to go to the Division II bracket. Duncanville, probably going to go to the playoffs, going to go to the Division I bracket. Does that take any of the starch out of it for you, or as a high school football fan, can you just put that aside and say, boy, let's just watch 2 of the best teams in America line it up?
I think I view it more recreationally because of what it is. It's kind of almost like a bowl game, and we were joking about the whole the other day about Army and Navy and the possibility of them if they both beat Notre Dame going through their schedules unbeaten and winding up meeting for the American Conference Championship. And that would carry the playoff berth with it in all probability. And then, oh, by the way, they'd play the next week their annual game, but it would have no effect on the playoff. So we were having some fun with that the other day. But I think both coaches would tell you it's a good measuring stick for them. It's kind of like getting to play. I think I remember Claude Mathis saying this is like playing a playoff game in midseason where there was no punishment, no ramifications if you lost the game, and no extra benefit other than bragging rights in Southwest Dallas County. And there's a lot of that, if you win the ball game. So I think it's like that. And I think it was a similar thing. We talked about this on Scoreboard Live. It's a similar thing. It was a similar thing, I think, with Atascocita and Summer Creek, because they're going different routes as well. We're all kind of salivating at Atascocita North Shore because that will carry playoff seeding with it in the Division I bracket for both those two that will go the D1 route, but Summer Creek will go Division II. So that will carry more weight. But Atascocita and Summer Creek, DeSoto Duncanville, they carry all of the attraction of like a bowl game or a big-time international friendly soccer exhibition without having any real punitive effect on either team if they lose, other than, of course, if somebody gets hurt. You hope that's not the case.
Certainly. Finally, Craig, you would think that in a week where there's one locked and loaded game of the week that you'd get out of this, but I'm going to do this. We're going to do the meanest thing we do to each other each week, and I'm going to remove Duncanville and DeSoto. And so I will give you 3 games you can transport to, and also 3 very disparate parts of the state. You can go to the very northern part of Texas and watch Stratford at Gruver. You can go far east Texas and go, not far east, but east Texas, and go to Tyler to watch Kilgore and Chapel Hill. Or you can go kind of in the middle and go to the Kraut Bowl between Lindsay and Munster. Which of those 3 games are you teleporting to?
Man, after my own heart. You know that I cut my teeth when I was college at North Texas, and I was in Bill Mercer's broadcasting class, and our assignment every week was to go out and do a high school football game on cassette and turn it in for grading purposes. He said, just pick a game. It doesn't matter what, you got to pick a game every week. I chose Lindsay at the start of that season. And I was with them for all 30. Part of the reason I have to tell you is because they were the preseason #1 team in Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine for that 1982 season. I can tell you that. And in Class 1A at the time, and I followed them all 13 games until they lost to the Italy Gladiators on a cold Friday night of Thanksgiving weekend in Midlothian. And it meant an awful lot to me. But I got to know people in Munster as well. So give me the Kraut Bowl.
I figured I was teeing you up for that. He's Craig Way. He's a Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. You can hear him every weekday on AM 1300 The Zone in Austin on the eponymous Craig Way Show. You can see him tomorrow night on High School Scoreboard Live on Valley Sports Southwest alongside myself and Aaron Hardigan. And then the big game Saturday, you can hear him call for the Texas Longhorns, the Red River rivalry. I said it slowly, between Texas and Oklahoma. Craig, appreciate your time, my friend, and I will see you tomorrow.
Happy second weekend in October.
Absolutely. There he goes. Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. Joins us every Thursday here on Texas Football Today. And a busy week for him. You know, it's funny, like they had their open date last week, and it really is like bye week for Craig too. And then it's just like, hey man, like
here's just the biggest game of the year.
Biggest game of the year. So excited for him, and I know that, you know, I've never gone as a fan.
I have.
I got to do that.
You do.
I got to do Texas OU.
You do. It was my sophomore or junior year of high school. I'd have to go back and look at the date, but my dad surprised me with tickets. That was like the one thing that, like, there's a couple of those sporting events that like we knew we would get to eventually. That was one of them. He had been many times before, but that was my first and only one actually as a fan, and it was a
pretty
great
cool
time.
Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts. Get some questions from the people.
I sure do. Who are some of the teams you're looking at in 4A Region 1? Let me restart.
4A Division.
for
Take
a
two.
Division I,
Yeah.
Region 4, to make a deep playoff run, but not necessarily make a state semifinal.
Okay. Not necessarily make a state semifinal.
Yes, they'll make a deep run.
So the favorite right now is probably LBJ.
I would agree with that.
They look the part. So I guess, like the next best team there is probably Davenport. I'll tell you who. I think El Campo is flying under the radar. I think that's a team that
Really?
because they do not have that kind of star power that they've had in the past. Obviously, Ruben Owens. I mean, they're 4-1. Their one loss on the year, they lost to a 5A Brian Rudder team by a score, which undefeated Brian Rudder team.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've got a big game. The big game of the year for them is Week 9 at Bay City, the big rivalry.
I was just
going
going to ask about where Bay City was on
I
that
think
list.
I think that the winner of that game between Bay City and El Campo is probably like they're going to be like my sleeper pick in Region 4 of like the team that could really ruin your season, because I think that that's probably the game we're waiting for Travis Reese Ball Club. I think that when you take a look at Bay City El Campo, we talked about in the offseason about how that feels like these are some of the best teams that these teams have had in a while. I mean, El Campo obviously had Ruben Owens, but like Bay City is on the rise. They're 4-1 right now as well. I would say that those are probably that game right there in District 15 has some pretty major implications as far as what the bracket looks like and what we're going to expect in the playoffs moving forward. So yeah, I'll go with the big rivalry game, El Campo and Bay City, both as kind of my sleepers that could surprise some people.
All right, I got one more for you.
Okay.
An RGV team not named PSJA North that could make a playoff run.
What a great question, Pickle.
Thanks.
I
can't take
take credit for you. Will you just accept it, please?
No, it was Hipst.
We got to get better at that. Okay. Not named PSJ North. Edinburgh Vela, maybe. Port Isabel, maybe.
Oh yeah, the Tarpons.
They're undefeated.
Step said he liked him.
McAllen Memorial. Those are teams. I don't think. I'll just be honest. This is me. We're in the trust tree, right? Nobody's listening.
No.
I don't think this is the year for a team from the Rio Grande Valley to make it to like a semifinal. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's there. I think that right now the Valley as a whole is like, I think last year was a relative high water mark, and I think that they're a little bit down from that. And so I think as a whole as a region. And so I don't see it right now, but I'd love to be surprised. I'd say if it's not PSJ North, Vela, McAllen Memorial, or Port Isabel would be the teams that I would keep an eye on. Maybe Santa Maria? I could buy on Santa Maria. So anyway, there it is. Anything else? Yeah, anything else? That's it. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Thanks again to Kurt Haberthur, head coach of the Gruver Greyhounds, and to Craig Way for being our guests. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please meet your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you on Monday on Texas Football Today.